thank you all for joining us. This is a new resource that we put together just around some IT best practices and guidance for all of you. So I would like to thank Ray Richards, is the head of
Mhm.
our IT department, who really took the time to put this together, and also Michelle LeBlanc, who is our Greater Los Angeles chapter's executive director. Michelle has a background in IT, and so she did also look over, provided some notes and feedback as well. So again, we're just here to go through some of these. This document specifically and share with you. But if you, again, have any questions at the end, we'll take those. But if you have it that's specific to the item, then please feel free to come off mute. So with that, Ray, I will turn it over to you.
Great. So, hello everyone. Again, Ray Richards. I'm the Senior Director of IT here. I've been here for about 2 years, and this is the third association I've worked for in a management position. My most previous role at my other organization was much more targeted on the cybersecurity side, the servers, and things like that. So it was very targeted and gave me a really solid foundation here to kind of apply what I've learned here. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go over some best practices, giving you some guidance. A lot of times, you guys just don't have the resources of big companies to be able to kind of guide you on the straight and narrow. I've seen some very well run departments, which mine is one of them that I'm very proud of. I've come from very poor departments and seen the risks and ramifications for not following processes, procedures, and such. So, with that, I'm just going to kind of jump right into this document that I prepared. Um, as you see, coming down this piece, you really want multi-factor to be enabled on everything you do, primarily your email, your VPN, and this is the highlighted part, admin accounts. Those are the accounts that if you get hacked, they're the ones that does damage. So for example, like with a Zoom account, if a standalone account got hacked, people could send stuff out. If you're in the admin account, now you can create accounts, delete accounts, do a lot of catastrophic damage. So that really is a must. And then two is if you're in a position of responsibility there, you really want to kind of take inventory of the different systems you have and audit those admin accounts. It's very easy to just give everybody admin accounts and do their thing. Only assign those when necessary. Usually you want to have one or two people administering it, not everyone. I've seen people just give everyone those rights. Don't, no, do not, don't do that. From a secure point of view, here's some kind of best practices for things. Let me see if I have some chats before I keep moving on. Here's the document. Oh, just the document. Okay. I'm trying to mind making sure if anybody has any questions. Actually, if anybody has any questions, don't put it in the chat. Just speak up. I'm happy to kind of take a break and elaborate a little more. So going down to this piece, secure devices. Obviously, you want endpoint protection. Antivirus is a very standard practice. There's something called EDR, endpoint detection response. That's another heightened level that's much more expensive that, again, protects all of your PCs. Then next, full disk encryption, BitLocker and such. A lot of you, it may be over your head, but for example, at CAI, when a new computer comes in and they get onboarded through our Microsoft tenant, it automatically encrypts that data. So if that computer ever gets away, anything that's on there is inaccessible without that encryption code. Next is keeping your OS and applications up to date. A lot of times when you have a central IT department, they centrally manage all of the updates and you have the push on Tuesdays and such. Um, so that is something that you need to do, as well as just being in tune with all your SaaS products, like just our Zoom account here. There's a update button on here that, throughout the year, there's a lot of security pieces that it updates. You just be cognizant of all the applications you have, specifically, again, the SaaS stuff, because they require updates throughout the year. And some of them do a great job of automating it. Others, you have to kind of manually do that. And then finally, passwords. I hope you have passwords on your computers. A lot of times people get very lackadaisical and just don't do that. No. So those are those pieces. The next is secure network access. This is something I preach here is, when you're here in the office and you're on our network, you're good. When you go to your Starbucks or you're in the airport, you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. So a lot of times I encourage some sort of VPN. These are two very inexpensive ones. So when you're not in an environment that you trust, throw this up. I have seen things like you go into Starbucks and you say, "Oh, there's a Starbucks Wi-Fi. Oh, no password." I click on it. I'm in, I'm working. What you don't know is the guy in the parking lot just put up a Starbucks Wi-Fi and is hacking everything that's in there. So that's something to be conscious of. Um, and then obviously, if you do have a Wi-Fi network in the office, please make sure that there's a password and a complex one that's there. Um, we talked about that patching and stuff, and this is just that more pieces of this of just making sure your things are up to date. And then next, obviously, is your data. Your data is kind of your lifeblood of your organization, and you need to ensure that it is secure, it is backed up regularly, um, and the people that have the admin access is only on a need to be basis. The beauty of this is, you go to your SharePoint, you go to your Google Drive and Dropbox. Most of those enterprises, all of those enterprises have a very robust backup solution. So you're not really leaning on an IT department to ensure that that gets backed up regularly. It's kind of set it and forget it. And they all do a great job of that. Um, and then here's a big one that a lot of people overlook is offboarding. You have a staff person that leaves. What did they have access to? Are you cutting them down that last day? The last thing you want, for example, a disgruntled employee that just quit and you have not done your due diligence and they have I call it the keys to the castle admin accounts for stuff and go to town. So please, be very cognizant and create that. I have a actual um, Word document. So when somebody leaves, it gets filled out, and we know all the access rights they have. They get shut down for our own personal audits. Auditors will come in and say, "I want to see your offboarding process," and I can park them to a directory of that of all the people that have been offboarded.
And
Um,
just to
yep,
jump
go
in
ahead.
there, Ray, too,
Yes.
especially for our smaller staff that might have a more working boards or more working
Hmm.
volunteers, instead of, the staff having access, some of your board members might have access to these systems. And so, especially knowing that transition of our volunteers, especially, I'm going to look at towards some of our newer CEDs that, again, some of those board members might have had access to those things because there was no staff at one point in time. And so they were picking up those responsibilities. That offboarding process is really important because we've taken a look at some of the chapters and they're like, who is this person? They're not even a member anymore. They had access to this 6 years ago, but those rights were never removed from them. And so making sure that if that's the position you're in too, a lot of the times you might hear during this conversation it's employees, but also think about your volunteers that might have access to some of this information, and how that relates to them.
Yeah, what would be great, Kelly, is like an exercise, for example, and imagine creating an Excel document and documenting the various systems I have. Do I have an AMS? Do I have a website? Do I have rights to like Office 365, Zoom? Put a spreadsheet together, list the people who are admins, and that exercise would be great because then you could go down the list, look at who's an admin, are they multi-factored and such, and have it just in one place to manage. I mean, that would be a fantastic exercise for anybody to come out of this of like what coming out of this, what are kind of my first action items? I would love to see some of your people do that. Um, so yeah, that would be great. Some of the bigger ones, this is a big plus. If you have the resources and can engage with a managed service provider, this kind of takes the burden away. Some of these managed service providers do a great job of all of this, that you're going to end up paying them for every endpoint that you have. So if you have an organization of like 10 people, you can pay as much as 250 to $300 per user. So, for example, if you're paying $3,000 a month, they're going to get into the weeds of everything and can kind of help you and be the resource that I'm saying right now. They should be coming to you and kind of giving you a once over from top to bottom assessment of your environment and start asking questions that I am, getting things documented. Because at the end of the day, they're now responsible for your environment and they need to be very versed at everything you have and such. So that is a big one that could really help a lot of you. And then next is, a cyber security awareness training. So, we do this here at CAI. We've partnered with a company called KnowBe4, and we have quarterly training. Cybersecurity is so big these days that, to get people up to speed on all the different things that goes on of, oh, I got a link to reset my Microsoft account. You click it, you put in your credentials. Now you were just hacked. Somebody has your stuff. So this is kind of social engineering and kind of educating you. And one of the biggest takeaways get and explain to staff is hover over emails and see where it's going to. And most systems do not send you emails to reset passwords and such. So it's getting the people in the habit of this. And when you get training, it's kind of out there in front of you all the time to do. Um, and then here we kind of touched on passwords, but here's something that's a big to do. Um, Getting all of your admin passwords like in some sort of password vault and such. We use a Keeper Security so that all the keys to the kingdom passwords are in there and they are locked down very tightly. It's this way that if anybody left here, there's a central repository that somebody can get, another IT person can get access and be able to get into all of this. What you hate is to have a single point of failure of somebody that knows what all is going on and they're not around. They're out on vacation for a week. They outright quit or something, and now you're scrambling around. That one admin person is gone and I can't get in because you always want a backup for such. And getting these documented in there gives somebody the ability um, to be able to take that over. Um, and then touching on the cybersecurity piece, a lot of companies, including ours, are actually required to carry cybersecurity. And here are a couple of companies that provide insurance. One of the benefits, and I'm going to say kind of the negative pieces of a cybersecurity is if you were to get coverage, they're going to audit your environment. They are not going to insure you unless you're compliant. So they're going to go through their own process to vet you and ensure you're doing the right things. And that is in my opinion, it's a good thing. And when we went back to the virus software and such, some of these cybersecurity companies require you to have like an endpoint detection and response elevated software for that. and kind of you're forced into doing things that you didn't currently have in place. Um, so
And so
these are kind, go ahead.
really quick, Ray, I'm going to jump in with
Yep.
the cybersecurity
Yep.
piece of it. That insurance this past year, so a part of recertification is, you all supply us with the insurance that the chapter carries. We have seen that trend over the years of more and
Mhm.
more chapters are going towards that cyber liability insurance and adding that to that your policies. So also if you're interested in that, make sure you're checking with your insurance provider too. They might have that coverage as that option and you don't have to go to an outside place. But if they don't, I know some carriers don't offer that. Again, these are some of those recommendations, but we are seeing that increase of chapters adding that into their insurance packages.
Yeah, so like I said, when you start utilizing third-party companies and you have your multi-factor, they're the experts, like Zoom. They're the people who are securing the back end of such. What you don't want is I have a physical server sitting in a closet. I have no IT person. Most people are not very versed at cybersecurity and protection. And let's say you have vital services running on that. And if that gets compromised, you're kind of on your own. And, if data gets lost, again, you're on your own. I say this all the time to my peers in the industry. The best the best offense is a great defense. And what I mean by that is, so for example, at CAI, we had a couple of servers in our closet. We even had dedicated what's called Azure servers in the cloud. I shut them all down. Zero servers we have. Everything we do is partnered with a third-party company to host our website, host our AMS, um, host our FMS. They're the experts. They secure it. I only get in with a username and password, and there's nothing for me to worry about. It's the burden is now on them, and they tend to do a very, very good job of securing their environment versus trying to have that expertise in-house. I don't even want to go down that road. I don't want to spend my time and effort on infrastructure stuff that I can have somebody else take care of. That really was a game changer for the cybersecurity side because at the end of the day, again, my offense is a great defense of there is nothing in my direct control. You get me a laptop from our company that gets somehow compromised, it's not infiltrating a network, it's not touching any other computers. My environment here at the CAI headquarters is an internet line, Wi-Fi, and printing. Is no different than at home office. There's no technological pieces here. So from the disaster recovery side, our internet goes down, our building gets locked out. This has zero impact on our day-to-day IT for our company. My CEO could come to me tomorrow and say, we got out of our lease and we're going all remote, and I do nothing. It's already there. Um, but these are kind of the things that a lot of places should be working towards for the cybersecurity, the checks and balances, and things along those lines. So,
Great. Thank you, Ray. I do have a question, and this is probably more geared towards Michelle. Um,
yes,
in terms of getting your boards on board with, this process or,
yes.
making sure that these things are in place or potentially even investing some of the chapter funds into
Mhm.
some of these technologies or these upgrades. Michelle, what do you have as a recommendation of how to approach the chapter boards with this type of information and why it's important for the chapter to be protected?
Um, be scary. Like tell them what is the potential downfall of not doing it, like the liability that you have being the steward of so much personal data of all of your members. Like that, I think is the most important thing is the data that we carry for everyone of all of the financial information that we store. Like all of that puts the chapter at a great liability. So it's not just having the cyber liability insurance in case you're hacked, but it's also all the preventative measures that you can take and like investing in a robust system. We didn't have the money for Growth Zone when we put Growth Zone in our chapter, but keeping it on this antiquated system that we had that hadn't been upgraded in probably a decade, also keeping stuff on spreadsheets in even though it's in the cloud, that can be hacked as easily as anything else. It was not just an investment in efficiency and making our chapter run better, it was an investment in security as well. So I think that it's not like disingenuously scaring them. It is like rightly scaring them in just letting them know of the potential downfall of not making these investments now and then having to make them later. Like you can definitely use an analogy from the HOA industry in their reserves of like if you don't have enough in your reserves or do the upkeep on your roof, you're going to be real sorry when you have to replace that roof 10 years sooner than you thought you were going to, and you have to do a special assessment. Like no one wants their special assessment. So
Great analogy to bring it into the industry. So at this time, I'll open it up. Does anyone have any questions or would like us to go into more details around any of these areas? And Emily did drop in a resource from San Diego. They work with an outside IT solutions, and they let us know that we could share that. So if you also work with any great partners, please let us know if they're willing to, again, work with other chapters or able to work with other chapters. I know sometimes location is dependent, but most IT, I believe, would probably be set up to be virtual in some sort of way. So, but if you have any of that, please let us know and we will make sure that we add that into our contacts too for
That really,
others.
Kelly, is like, in a perfect world, and if you have the financial resources, that's really what you want. You want to hire professionals that this is their wheelhouse. This is not in the wheelhouse of most chapters. So hire the experts, get them help. You don't have to go full blown in, you can engage them at very different pricing levels and get you some fundamental assessments and help to get you very, very good. No matter where you are, and you can probably do better. And just like Michelle said about the roof scenario, once you get breached, all of a sudden now you have money to do, you're going to find money to get this fixed. Would you rather get it done before and not have to deal with this? Absolutely, yes. So, yeah, so
Um,
I'm,
and
yep.
one other thing I just wanted to also share along the lines of kind of that training, make sure that you're doing that with your boards. Phishing and the spammers are really increasing. We see that all of the time. And I know all of us have a better handle on that because we do see that more often. Again, we're having these types of conversations. But a lot of the times your boards might not be. And so reminding them of that maybe at the beginning of the year or halfway through. And I'll use the example of you get that email from someone and it says, hey, I need you to make this payment right now to this link and I'm unavailable. So just please take care of it as soon as possible. And you're like, this doesn't really seem like my treasurer asking for this, or it might not seem like, okay, this is Michelle's voice, but she must want it. So I'm going to do it. Or, hey, send gift cards. We're doing a drawing and I need gift cards. So send me gift cards. That let them know that if something seems off, that's not how you're going to ask for it. There's not going to be something that's going to be time sensitive for this. And to remember to pick up the phone, that if something doesn't look right or seems a little off, pick up the phone and call me. That's not the way. And if it is, then we'll have that conversation and we'll talk it through. But sometimes people see that, they get anxious and they move forward through it and now they've already done that. Or they might hear about it from the members You know, we all see those spammers of, hey, buy this list, and we know that those are all spam, and we have that good understanding. But again, a lot of the times our boards and our members don't have that. So it's also good to remind them in some way, specifically your board members. But if you also have a chance to also just remind the members of that too, I think that's important as well through newsletters or other education pieces that you have, that we are seeing this trend of needing more of that cyber and IT style securities, but it's also to be diligent from your side as well, from the personal side, to make sure that you're not setting yourself up to the spammers and the scammers and all of the phishing that's out there.
What's funny you should say that, Kelly, because in our last quarterly training, there's examples of these phishing emails that come in, and then you have your various answers. And what the consistent answer to all of these pieces was pick up the phone, call your trusted number of this person, and verify that this actually is a formal request. And that answer for a significant amount of these questions was the right answer for all of these phishing. And some of these looked extremely well written and spot on. They can spoof your websites and easily cut and paste your complete code and make this look like things that you've seen over and over again. So yes.
So thank you. I don't think there's any other questions. If you do, please reach out. Please let us know if you have any questions, if you need to dive deeper into any of these. Michelle, Ray, any last words you'd like to leave the group with?
Actually, I did have a question for everybody else on the call. Was when I first started, I moved everything on to Google Drive. We already had Google email, but I like Google Drive and I use it a lot. And so that was what was comfortable for me. Admittedly, my board, not all of them love it, but we did it. And so I use shared drives. I have a separate shared drive for the board. I have a separate shared drive for committees and committee folders. And then it is part of my offboarding process at the end of the year when we're switching to a new board, that I go remove permissions from all of the other ones, and then add the new board members in. I haven't been so great as keeping up with like committees as they change, but there's also not much of consequence in the committee folder, so I'm not as worried about that. But I was wondering, for the rest of you, like, how do you share documents with your boards? Like, do you have shared drives like that, or do you have a portal? Like, what do you guys use?
And feel free to come off mute if you'd like to share, or you can drop it in the chat. I see a Dropbox.
Good one.
All right. Yeah, my board had Dropbox before. I just personally hate Dropbox, so I switched to Google.
Yep, another Dropbox. I know some systems, I know for sure, like your membership, they have portals built within those systems for, building those resource libraries to use as well. From my experience, they're not as robust and user friendly as a Dropbox or Google Drive. But I know some of the systems have that built in as that depository as well.
Yeah, Growth Zone has that, and it's not great, so we just stuck with the Google Drive.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for today. Michelle and Ray, thank you so much for taking the time to not only put together this document and review it, but also going through it today with everyone. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day today, and we'll see you soon at the CED retreat for some of you.